This podcast is supported by patrons. You can find a full list of them in the description of this episode. Hello, listeners of Good Morning BSS. Well, this is Wiktor, Doktor, and this is your business podcast where you can find out a lot of interesting stories from the business area. And today we are going to focus a little bit on finance, accounting, or rather invoicing. Yes, because in Poland now we have another revolution in invoicing. We are moving completely to e-invoicing, which has a proper name for that in our area. And I, what you may probably know, am not the expert of the invoicing and finance and accounting, but usually I have fantastic guests who actually have a great knowledge about this area. And one of those guests is Piotr Chojnacki, with whom I usually have a set of podcasts in Polish, but today we decided to record everything in English to make this topic clear for you. And I will allow now Peter to introduce properly himself. Hi, Piotr.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Wiktor. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. I'm Piotr Chojnacki and I'm Polish tax advisor, and I will provide you some information about the e-invoicing in Poland, and I will also share with you my thoughts about the steps that you can take in order to have a successful implementation in your company.
I have, Piotr, such a feeling that I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Poland we love to implement changes in our finance area nearly every year. Some of them are nice, some of them are less nice. Usually it takes some time to introduce them properly. And now we have a quite major change in our finance, or rather invoicing world in Poland. This is named e-invoicing. And as you mentioned, today we are going to get some insights from that area. So let's start from the very beginning. What it is and what we can expect.
Okay, so the main idea is that you will need to use a platform provided by Polish tax authorities in order to issue an invoice to your B2B partner. So currently you are directly issuing the invoices in paper or electronic, whatever is your preference, and you directly provide such invoice to the receiver. And the change is that you will need to use this platform provided by Polish tax authorities, and the provisioning of the invoices directly to your customer won't be an option in the near future. So your role will be to provide an input to issue such invoice via this platform, and you will be able to do it in two ways. First is a manual way, when you go to the platform and you provide manually the data for the invoice that you would like to issue, and the second is automatic issuance of the invoices. It's rather preferable when you have a large amount of the documents to be issued. And the important thing is also that kind of an invoice will have a structure, because nowadays everyone has its own way to issue an invoice, most often determined by the software that you use. But from certain date you will have to fit the structure that will be required from you. So we will have a kind of a template in Poland that everybody should use, and specific format, which will be XML file. So I already said that it will be a certain date when it will be mandatory, and it will be July 2024. But not from July 2024. From July 2024 it will be mandatory, because currently it is optional only. So it already exists. You can use it voluntarily, but from July 2024, and this is according to the existing law. It might change in the future, but according to current law, it's July 2024. You will have to use it mandatorily, but not for but the scope is limited. The scope is limited to Polish taxable persons. So the ones that have a seat here in Poland that are registered for VAT purposes, but also for foreign businesses that have fixed establishment in Poland, and this fixed establishment takes active role in those supplies that should be invoiced. And what's also important that this scope won't cover the invoices to the customers that are not that that don't have any business activities. For regular customers, you won't be able to use that platform. And what's good in this time frame is that the penalties will be applicable from January 2025. So you will have, a period which will be a period for mistakes and resolving the mistakes and polishing the um, the approach that you implemented. And the penalties will be pretty high because you will have 100% amount of the VAT of the invoice if you fail to issue in that manner. And if the invoice won't contain VAT amount, it will be 18.7% of the gross amount from the invoice. So for those invoices without VAT on them, you will have to apply this, second penalty level. And this is the main information that I would like to share at this level that gives some overview in a nutshell what it is and how it works.
So, making it like a very, very short summary, we know that the e-invoicing are going to be obligatory in Poland. For the moment, the date when it is going to be obligatory, not voluntary, is the July 2024.
Correct.
Still, till the end of the year of 2024, we have the time for implementing it if we fail in the very beginning. So there won't be penalties by the end of the year. But later on, if somebody is not going to be in line with those regulations, the penalties are going to be quite solid and quite tough.
Yeah. But I would say that, you should be totally relaxed in this period from July to the end of December because it can trigger other, negative consequences at your level because if you won't be able to issue such invoice in this mandatory period, your partner will not have, invoice that is required by the law. And it's not good situation to do not have invoice and book other document in your tax records because it doesn't give you an opportunity to deduct VAT or put something in the taxable costs.
Okay, so maybe let's do some kind of operational step forward. So, if we know that something is going to be implemented, if we know that something is going to be obligatory, in this case, this e invoicing, what would be those steps of implementation? If you could just give us some kind of an overview, what needs to be done or what is going to be done to make it happen?
Okay, so first of all, you have to determine your processes. You have to identify your existing processes, how they are look right now, who is involved in those processes, because otherwise you will have many trouble during the implementation. And in my opinion, you have to take the implementation of KSeF in different dimensions because it will affect a few areas. And first of all, it will affect issuing of the sales invoices, as we already said, but it will also affect the process of gathering of income, part of the incoming invoices. It will also affect the process of payment for those, invoices that are in the scope, and it will also affect tax reporting. And let me explain how it will impact those processes. So when it comes to the main one, sales invoicing, you will have local invoices that you will issue by this platform, and your partner who is on the other side, who's your customer, will have to go to this platform, and this your partner will take the invoice from will import the invoices issued by you from the platform directly. But when you have foreign customers, they won't be obliged to go to this platform, right? Because Poland is not authorized to impose something like this on the foreign companies, on the foreign taxable persons. So in the idea is that you will still issue invoices in the same way like those that you are issuing for local customers, but then you will have to download this invoice, maybe also visualization of the invoice with the QR code, and then you will provide your foreign customer with the documents. And there is no any way that is obliged to follow when it comes to provision of the document. It can be via email, and it's up to you. Probably it will be via email or other way. Maybe you will have an automatic solution that will provide the documents automatically. I don't know. It's up to you. But it's worth to know that you will have to issue foreign invoices as well using this platform, and but you will have to provide them to your foreign customers. There is no such thing like you will issue other document that are not the structured invoices, and they will be valid for that purposes. Not. You will have to issue these structured documents, but mostly visualization with the QR code, and the QR code enables the party to identify the document in this platform if they would like to identify such document. So when it comes to sales, issuing of the sales invoices process, what's also worth mentioning that you will have to manage the authorizations, because you will authorize yourself as company's representative. If you are an entrepreneur, it's your company, you will be automatically authorized, but you can also authorize other people to issue the invoices in your name. But you also can create the tokens that it will be a code that will enable people to issue the documents via this platform if they have such token, right? So, and it is really important from my point of view that you have to be totally aware who has a right to issue such invoices in your name, and you will have to track whether this person is still within the company or already left, because in the case of any personal changes, automatically this person should have withdrawn the right to issue the document in your name. So let's move smoothly to the incoming invoices. So as I already said, the partner or you, when we have local invoices, local Polish invoices, will have to go straight to the platform and get the documents from such platform. So depending of the volume, it can be manual process to download the documents, or you can automate this by, I don't know, having external software, or maybe your accounting service provider will have such module that will enable you to download those documents automatically. But it's also worth considering that you will have to authorize somebody to take that kind of steps in your name. And you have to also be aware that it will be additional process to the existing process, because foreign suppliers of yours will still follow the old rules. So you will have two separate processes of gathering of documentation. And when it comes to the payment for incoming invoices, which are in the scope of this mandatory invoicing in Poland, you will have to provide the number extract. You will have to provide the number created by this platform and assign it to the document when you will be paying for the document. And you will have to provide this number of the document created by this platform on the level of the payment request. You will be also able to create, a number for more than one invoice issued by particular supplier, and you will be able to provide that number instead of, one-to-one for multiple invoices to make your life easier. And on the other side, when you will receive the payment with such, coded multiple invoices, you will be able to go to the platform and decode for which invoices, this number refers. So it's also worth, mentioning that this kind of a change you will have on your level. But there is also the fourth thing, and it refers straight to the reporting, because as you probably know, currently you are filing something which is called JPK for VAT, which is SAFT for VAT for global community. They understand it as SAFT for VAT. So uh, currently, you have a set of data that you need to provide month by month when you are reporting your VAT position, and it will increase because you will have to provide also this number generated by the platform, assign it to the invoice, issued via the platform. But also there is something that you need to have in mind, that um, currently companies, when they report VAT for safety purposes, they need to report the date when they received the invoice. Sometimes, companies simplify the reality and they are referring to the date when the invoice was booked in their accounting system. But they need to have in mind that from July 2024, invoice is considered as received for those particular cases that are in the scope when invoice has assigned this number by this platform. And the number provided by the platform consists of the few elements. The first element provides the date when the number has been assigned, and the other part is a sequence of unique sequence of the numbers for a particular document. I think it's also worth mentioning. So when you will review the processes, I think that these are 4 areas that will be impacted, and you have to consider them when you will be implement KSeF in your company, and you shouldn't skip any of them. So once you verify your processes, you should think about the solution that you will apply in your case. And I think you can have 3 options depending of the company, of the volume, and many other factors. You can choose manual solution. The easiest form is that you go straight to the platform and you provide required information, and then you raise an invoice using the platform. I think it's good for the smallest taxable persons, let's say. It doesn't oversimplify the process, and it's free of charge. For bigger taxable persons, you should, in my opinion, consider automation of the issuance of the invoices. And if you have only standard processes, maybe totally automated solution is something that will 100% fulfill your needs. Some of the companies rely on the supplier of the accounting system. Some of the companies are looking for external solution that will cooperate with the accounting system that they are using. And in some cases, automatic solution when you have a large volume of the documents is not enough. So companies are looking for a kind of a hybrid, which is which has two elements. First element is an automatic solution that covers 99% of the situations, which is pretty standard. But for exceptions, they are using manual solution, which can be going directly to the platform and issuing an invoice by the platform to not generate additional cost only for one or three cases per month. So once you will figure it out which way is for you, you should start, analyzing your system. And why do I understand by that? What I understand by that, I understand that you should go to your system and you should compare your system with the template of the electronic structured invoice that will be required, because you will have to identify where you have the data that you can enter in particular fields of the structured invoice, and you should also identify gaps in your system, because it might happen that you won't be able to provide the data that are required. It's a normal situation. And once you will identify the gap, you have to figure it out how to fill it. Maybe you will have to change the way you issue the invoice. Maybe you will have to provide additional information, and you will have to think about how you can fulfill those gaps. And the last thing that you should know while you will be analyzing the structure and compare it with your system, you should know that you will have three types of fields in the structured invoice. First is mandatory, and this is something that needs to be provided. Otherwise, the invoice won't pass the technical validation of the platform. Second type of the field is required. So it can be required if you will pick a field that triggers some additional, data to be provided, or you are in the situation that is not regular, but when you are in the specific situation that law requires you to provide some information, like you will apply exception from VAT, you will have to provide legal basis of that kind of exception, which you don't have when you are issuing regular invoice with VAT on them, right? And the last thing is that you have totally optional fields that doesn't have to be, and those fields don't have to be, filled with any data if you don't want to. But sometimes your customers require to be informed about something, and you will have a multiple fields that you are able, but you don't have to use when you are issuing the invoices. From my point of view, I'm that kind of a person that doesn't like to over complicate the life that I have, also the business part of it. That's why I always considering, is this something that will bring value added for my customer and for invoicing process? If not, but I can't provide that kind of information because I have them in the system, but I don't have to, I will considering to skip that kind of thing, to not overcomplicate and not generate additional problems when they are not not needed. So once you will map that kind of once you will map your system to the template, and which path you would like to follow, you need to start implementing the solution and test it, and be patient. There's not a lot of time for that kind of a project because we have, I don't know, a few months left. So my recommendation is, if you haven't done anything, you should at least, follow these few steps to have a clarity where you are and what amount of effort will be required for you to fulfill, this mandatory obligations that will be on you in the near future. As the last step of the implementation, I wouldn't be myself if I won't, say this. You have to document changed processes, because otherwise you will have the problems in the future. Documentation of the processes is critical, because if you won't do this, if you will skip that, step, it will come back to you, because we are only human beings and we have a tendency to forget the things. But if you have a structured documentation for the process, you have a more you have a higher probability that you will won't face the additional problems that you don't have to.
During the time when you were sharing all of this information and insights, you mentioned the name KSeF. And I believe that we should just explain it to our listeners and viewers that KSeF is this e-invoicing. KSeF stands for the National E-invoicing System, which actually are the letters for the Polish wording of this process, which is now being implemented in Poland. But in general, this is e-invoicing in general. So for those of you who were listening, the whole story which Peter was sharing here with you is just to clarify that KSeF means e-invoicing in general. Let's make it like a general information about this thing. One last thing I wanted to ask you for the very end, because you are sharing this information, a number of other topics related to the Polish taxation system, but not only Polish, but the international as well, on LinkedIn and on some of your other activities which you run on a daily basis. And one of the recent one is that you have started a new bulletin on the LinkedIn. What is it?
Yeah, from January 2024, I decided to create a new bulletin on LinkedIn, and its name is Tax Radar. And this is a local perspective for global community. It will be in English, and I decided that I will share the recent legal changes, court judgments, and tax rulings and other news with the global community. And I will do it once a month. So each month I will share, short information, what's going on here in Poland, for our global colleagues, because I would like to keep them updated and they make sure that they on the track.
Know-how is the power. So I will make sure actually to add to the description of today's episode the link to your LinkedIn profile, where people will be able to subscribe to this bulletin. And I am more than sure that if you are going to share on a monthly basis those most important facts, insights, comments, you will get the number of subscribers of this bulletin growing quite fast. And for today, I believe, Peter, we can put the full stop, aren't we?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much and talk to you soon.